YouTube, it's your boy 41 Pop. We back with another video. The $100 million MrBeast nightmare. All right, $100 million. That's crazy. Hey, yo, make sure you like and subscribe. 90% of y'all that watch the video don't subscribe, so please like and subscribe. We are a growing channel, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, it's your boy 41 Pop. Let's get into it.
This is easily one of the biggest stories of the year. Largest creator in the world, $100 million deal with one of the largest companies in the world, Amazon. And they go on to create the largest game show ever. And now we somehow have lawsuits and then reports saying that this turned into a Fyre Festival-like disaster. So my question, just like everyone else's, what is actually going on? And how did we get here? Well, the timeline of events actually went by pretty fast. Starting with March 18, 2024, they announced the Beast Games. March 20th, reports surfaced that MrBeast secured $100 million for the Beast Games, or well, at least for the deal. Sometime around June, they opened the application process, and then they were already filming in mid-July, specifically from 18th to 22nd of July in Las Vegas. And this is where most of the known problems were, because a little over a week later, you had a viral New York Times article titled, "Willing to Die for MrBeast and $5 million. Then only a week later, you had anonymous contestants sharing their experience with Rosanna Pansino. Then to back up the claims by New York Times and Rosanna, a lawsuit was filed against MrBeast and the production companies involved and Amazon MGM. So I posted an interview last Thursday night where I had the contestant run me through the experience of the Beast Games. What became clear to me and everyone else in the comments is that person was extremely biased to MrBeast. A few of you guys even wanted me to delete this interview. That would be counterproductive though, as at the end of the day, we want to know what happened there, no matter the narrative. And the narrative is determined by the available information we have, not someone's opinion. Hence why a lot of you guys were commenting that I was talking to a MrBeast plant, because the person I was interviewing definitely shared their opinion a lot, which came across as invalidating other people's experiences. And this is why I ended that video saying this. Obviously, me airing this interview is not to take away from the experience of the people who feel wronged from this event. I just think it's important to get as many perspectives as possible out there. But to address the MrBeast plant allegations, I can never know 100%, but from what I can tell, I don't think this was the case. This person was a contestant who enjoyed their time and is grateful for the opportunity. But again, that doesn't take away from the ones who had a bad experience, because we learned a lot from my interview. Mainly, the setup of the event was terrible. They had way too many people for the challenges they decided to do and the facilities they had. Because yes, while there's a $5 million prize, there's no benefit in having your contestants feel like absolute trash in trying to compete for it. There's like so many simple things that could have been done way better, and I get they're trying to go for whatever sounds best in the intro hook. 2,000 people fighting for $5 million sounds a whole lot better than 500 people fighting for $5 million. But by simply reducing the amount of people competing could have made everything so much better for everyone. But we'll get more into that later on. So let's go over the main New York Times and lawsuit allegations and then see if we're able to cross-reference from my interview. So from the New York Times article, the main issues were food scarcity, medical neglect, poor hygiene, and chaotic organization. I would say that all of those issues were definitely referenced in my interview. So not only do you have the people who talked to Rosanna corroborating that, but
it's 2024, and
not only do you have the people who talked to Rosanna corroborating that, but also the person who talked to me. And with their statements on Rosanna, they definitely didn't talk to Rosanna. So people who had really bad experiences at the event, they corroborated it, and people who had a really good experience at the event also corroborated that. So look at that, accidental journalist moment.
Well, that's good to know. It's good and bad. Good to know.
Am I a journalist? Who knows? I definitely LARP as one sometimes, but at the end of the day, I'm a commentary channel and internet talk show host that talks about laughably stupid.
From what we heard before, like, it was drastic. Oh my God. It was like people were like on their last leg. No showers, 7 days to like almost 10 days with the lights on, no sleep. It was like a boot camp. That's what I was hearing.
Stuff on the internet. Largest creator ever doing a $5 million game show, and people are calling it a Fyre Festival-like disaster. That is laughably stupid, hence why we're covering it here on this channel. But going back to cross-referencing off of my interview, in regards to the chaotic organization, you have the whole intake process that just seemed like a complete disaster. Here's a clip of how chaotic this process was. From the New York Times article, they were saying there was like an intake process, and then like the first day. Is that true, or?
Yeah, there was. So we got there one day. Some people got there like 2 or 3 days in advance just for planning purposes. But you stuck in a number of hotels. They split all 2,000 people between, say, like 3 or 4 hotels. But the intake process happened at Rio Hotel in like the big grand rooms. So eventually, throughout your 3 or 4 days, probably on the day that you got there, mine wasn't until like the second or third day, but they took you into the room, you signed all the paperwork, new NDAs, all sorts of stuff. And then you basically got like your jersey, and then you went back to your hotel room and then waited until they called you down like the morning of to come down in your jersey. And poor planning on their part, we could have just worn like our normal civilian clothing, but they put us all in trash bags. I guess like that was a last minute decision, which didn't help because then people were like, why are there 1,000 people in a hotel in trash bags? That like raised some controversy right there. The trash bags were hot. You know, you could just rip bigger armholes or like suck it up. Yeah, that wasn't like a good decision on anyone's part. I don't know who that was, but it probably wasn't MrBeast directly.
And then, so you were put in trash bags, and then what happened once you were put into trash bags?
Once we were put into trash bags, well, they fed us breakfast. You had the opportunity to go get your own breakfast before the trash situation. Then it was like 3 or 4 hours of waiting until we got to the Rio Hotel. And they put us in the big grand rooms with, say, like 500 people in each room. Okay. And they would sporadically bring out food. They offered water. You could go to the bathroom. And yeah. So like we stood in those halls for another like 6 hours until we finally were bused to Allegiant Stadium.
All right, guys, you can't have your phones, but put on these trash bags and wait around for like 6 hours. Have fun. I get that obtaining NDA and liability signatures for 2,000 people, that takes time, but there has to be a more efficient way of doing this. Like, I just can't picture someone in a boardroom saying,
yeah, realistically, it was... All right, this is why I look at a situation. Are you dumb for keeping the trash bag on for that long? Because realistically, you're just waiting, right? So why don't you just speak up and say, well, it's mad hot. We're waiting out here for 2,000 people to sign papers, and it's probably going to take a couple hours. You might as well put it on right before the event, right? Does it make sense?
hey, what if we put all of the contestants in trash bags and have them wait around for 6 hours? And
I don't think that was the actual plan. I think they just brought the trash bag to them, put it on. They probably 4 or 5 people just rushed and put it on, didn't even think it through, and then everybody just started putting it on. Realistically, no one's forcing you to keep on the trash bag. It doesn't make sense to me. If you're not even in the game yet and you're just waiting. So realistically, it's like just a lot of dumb people. That's what it just seems like that to me. It's just a lot of dumb people.
Bus them to the stadium. They'll love that. That just doesn't seem like something well planned. It seems like something that was just poorly improvised. And
I think Atazi's is giving the benefit to the people that were there because of the controversy. I heard it was some of the stuff I heard was heinous, but in this situation, this is like really just kind of stupid, right?
And I know they blame CrowdStrike for a lot of the chaos, but I also think that was for getting people home. As my understanding is, everyone waiting around the hotels and the trash bags, that was on the 18th of July. And the CrowdStrike incident happened on the 19th of July. So I don't know what was going on with this intake process, but
yeah, this is weird.
But moving on, you had the lack of medical supplies. And this portion of my interview definitely surprised me that they handled it like this. When did the lack of like medical supplies and stuff like that come up?
So when you went into the Rio, you kind of like handed off your medical supplies for the Beast games, and they were going to handle the logistics of it.
That just doesn't make sense to me. I guess it depends on how important that medication is, but if it's like an inhaler or insulin, that should be pocketed or had in a small bag that's nearby.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of dumb people. This is what it seemed like. Like, I can't picture someone taking someone's only for life of breath as an inhaler and saying, all right, we're going to keep it just in case anything goes. No, they're going to tell you to keep it in your pocket, bro. It's your inhaler. It's your inhaler. Come on.
I don't know.
Or an EpiPen. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are allergic to stuff, normally you would carry around an EpiPen. I'm pretty sure they're not going to take that away from you.
If there's a chance that I can die from not having an inhaler or something important like that, you wouldn't be able to separate me from that thing. And the organizers really shouldn't be putting a contestant in that situation where they get separated from it, because it's just too risky
I don't think they did. I think the contestants are just worried about the money and not really worried about their actual situation.
For everyone involved. So I have no
Hold on, yeah.
why they would handle it like that. But next up, you have the injuries.
The game testers they had test it didn't account for $5 million being on the line and like an actual like 2,000 people playing this game. Because we finished the challenge in like a minute, like under a minute. And then that fifth team didn't even get like close to finishing.
Oh, wow.
So I think I was toward the middle. And I think some people in the rear, once you started actually pulling the rope, everyone got bunched up in the rear. It's possible people accidentally got injured, but I don't know if I would say that it's the fault of any one individual. It's just that when you have 500 or 400 people, basically on two sides of a rope, that spans the length of the football stadium. So when everyone starts pulling back, people are going to get jumbled in the rear and just kind of like bunched up.
So it was like a tug of war with 400 people on each side.
The 400 people, 200 on each side of an individual rope. And those 200 people make the length of the football stadium, like right off the bat. So if you don't pull the rope and like keep your feet where they are.
Well, seems like y'all should have been working better together. That's the whole point of a contest, right? Y'all should, $5 million on the line. Y'all dumbasses ain't work together. That's what it sounds like.
And you start walking
Bunch
the
of
rope
idiots.
back, everyone gets bunched up in the back.
Well,
So I
Right,
think that
okay.
caused
and here they go. They probably was stepping on each other, fucking each other up, and now y'all want to blame. Y'all really need to blame each other for being dumb.
injury when people were like falling on each other.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Mhm.
that's just kind of what happened.
Hey man, yo, I remember being in high school. Not fuck high school. I remember being in middle school, and Nuck If You remember that song Nuck If You Buck? Nuck If You Buck came on. Hey man, a lot of kids got injured. They ain't never blamed the school. School ain't never took the blame. They blamed the other kids. He did it, he did it, he did it. And she did it, she did it, she did it. Hey yo, so at the end of the day, y'all need to take accountability.
I don't think it's any one person's fault. Someone got injured, and nobody was trying to injure anyone in that challenge.
So I do not agree with this person here. And there's a lot
That's
in this interview
bullshit.
that I didn't agree with them on, but I wanted to hear their experience. And if I
That's
spent
bullshit.
a lot of that time pushing back and arguing, I wouldn't be able to hear the full experience. But this is definitely the organizer's fault. If you didn't have enough space for the challenge,
Would you like to have healthier
injured because of that, that's on the organizer. At the very
If there's not enough space, they put 400 people in a cramped ass room and told them to tug a rope. It's a little bit different, but I highly doubt it. Come on, I highly doubt it. And the span of the football field, come on.
least, they should have divided them up into smaller groups to prevent the bunching in the back, or had fewer people in the competition, or done a different challenge.
No, I don't believe that they should because it's $5 million on the line. They need to make their money back. They're having a big contest, 200. That's epic. That's epic. They should have worked together better. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, all MrBeast should have did was have better medical attention there for anyone that got injured. But at the end of the day, whatever you got injured on or with, pretty much is your own fault. Unless you unless the event actually injured you some way, where it's like, oh shit, the floor is dumb slippery and no one can move. You know what I mean? Like, come on, y'all tugging a rope, y'all got bunched up in the back. One or two probably stepped on you, not caring that you fell on the ground. And it is what it is, bro. Blame the person that stepped on you, because in the day, y'all should be working together.
That didn't require so much space. So from the interview, we learned there was a tug of war and a briefcase challenge that ended up injuring people. There was even an elder person who apparently broke some ribs in the briefcase challenge, but this person also allegedly showed back up to the event in Canada afterwards. In the briefcase challenge,
See what I'm talking about? You broke your ribs and you coming back to the challenge.
a little bit harder to judge as we don't really have any footage for it yet, but it definitely doesn't sound good. The person I interviewed also mentioned that contestants that shoved people in this challenge allegedly were eliminated. So if that's true, at least that's positive. Next up, people in this challenge allegedly doesn't sound good. The person I interviewed also mentioned that contestants that shoved people in this challenge allegedly were eliminated.
That's all MrBeast could do. What you want him to do? Pay for your medical expenses and everything. Hey, yo, at the end of the day, you need to sue the person that pushed you. They got it on footage. It's what it's like sexual harassment. Like, company will take, like, bro, they're going to have to fire that person. You're going to have to take up a lawsuit with that person. Because at the end of the day, company's not going to take the fall for this. It's kind of dumb. Realistically, yes, I think the games need to get better because this, like I said, I heard some heinous stuff before, but this isn't that bad.
So if that's true, at least that's positive. Next up, from the New York Times allegations, you had poor hygiene. And this is where most people got upset when the person I interviewed said it was like camping in response to a woman being denied pads. And that's something that really shouldn't be denied, as that can lead to serious problems. And the organizers know this, as there's no shot there's 0 women involved in the organization. Because, I mean, hey, it goes without saying there can be some serious health consequences if you don't change those female hygiene products. And this is just another clear case for why there should have been way fewer people, so they could have been way more attentive to each contestant so crap like this doesn't happen. I also want to apologize for not making it more clear.
And that's the other thing, too. Like, you're coming to these things. I get it. You need personal things and you want. You think, all right, well, she probably thought they're going to buy it for her, right? That's just entitlement. She's entitled. At the end of the day, you need to be prepared for this stuff. You are a woman. You know, it's around that time of the month. Get it at the same time every month, right? Like, you got to be prepared for, like, it sounds bad, but you got to prepare yourself, bro. It's not anyone else's fault. You can't be that entitled that you can't take care of your own feminine products. You know what I'm saying?
Clear that I didn't endorse that statement. The other big hygiene problem was a porta potty leaking onto the field.
Oh, that's terrible.
And that had to be cleaned up by staff that didn't have the equipment to do so or training to do so. Allegedly. And that's just another nightmare right there for the people that had to clean it up, but also the poor people that were stuck having to sleep or rest near that porta potty zone. And the last allegation from the New York Times article was poor
I highly doubt it. Well,
communication, which seems very apparent from every single source we've heard from. Then you had the lawsuit allegations, where the main ones were misclassification of contestants as independent contractors. And that's kind of a California argument, as they're arguing this based on California laws, even though this has nothing to do with California in regards to the competition, as it was in Nevada, Canada, and North Carolina. Contestants applied to become contestants, not to be employed by MrBeast. But next up, you had unlawful contract terms. I can't add anything there because I haven't seen the contracts, nor am I a lawyer. Then you had failure to pay minimum wage and overtime. So from my interview, we
hey, yo, people reaching.
Found out the contestants were paid $1,000. Then $1,000 more later on after, I guess, a bunch of the negative PR started coming out. And according to the person I interviewed, to claim the $1,000 more, apparently you didn't have to sign any more paperwork saying you weren't going to sue the MrBeast Productions or anything like that. So, I mean, if that's true, that's another positive. So 4 days of filming, $2,000 divided by, what, 96 hours? Because, I mean, you're there the whole time. You're a little north of like $20 an hour. Yes, I calculated that earlier. I'm
Italian sausage bacon
wizard. But overall, I mean, not bad. Especially if you got PTO from your regular job to go do this. But I guess that is if you didn't end up in the hospital having a seizure, or have to sleep in sewage from a leaking porta potty, or denied hygiene products. There are some variables here, but if those negative variables didn't happen, it doesn't sound terrible. But next in the lawsuit, you had denial of meal and rest breaks. So the person I interviewed claimed the meals were okay, but got better over time. So I guess take that how you will. And then in regards to the breaks, it seemed like the whole thing was just a big break. It sounded like they were playing Waiting Simulator more than the Beast games. But they filmed at night, and the ceiling is see-through. So it was straight daylight when they could finally sleep. So not only was it a waiting simulator, but also they Jake Weddled all of the Beast Games contestants by not turning off the lights. The lights were off, but you know, the sun was just beaming at them, which
That's what I heard. So it was the sun. It was in the actual lights. It was the
Probably had the contestants like this, but moving on, you had unsafe and inhumane working conditions, which honestly could be plausible. I mean, if the elderly are being bodied over some briefcases and women are being denied hygiene products, that's not good. And you have sexual harassment and hostile work environment, which is kind of hard to
It just seems unbelievable, but okay.
comment on, as the lawsuit was vague around this topic and we haven't really heard anything specific. Then you have unfair business practices and then misleading advertising and false statements, which I think was about the amount of contestants. Originally, people thought there was going to be 1,000 others. When they showed up to the event, there was 2,000 people. Then finally, you had Nevada tax credit discrepancies, which is clearly way above my pay grade to be able to answer. So let's get to my opinion. This whole thing just sounds like an absolute shit show to me. Obviously, when you're running an event with 2,000 people involved, there's going to be a lot of variables and plenty of things that can go wrong. And they did. I think the biggest mistake is the scale they went for. Since it seemed like the MrBeast team jumped from doing challenges from like 50 to 100 people to 2,000 people. Having fewer people would have made it so much easier to go the extra step for everyone. For example,
100%.
why didn't they have pillows? Why weren't there hygiene product dispensers by the porta potties? Why didn't they have sleeping bag mats? That's actually a real thing, not some funny Mat City promo segue. It's actually a mat you place beneath your sleeping bag to give you a little cushion and help insulate you from the ground to keep you warm. I get it's a business and you want to stay as profitable as possible, so cutting corners is tempting, but MrBeast is a personality brand. His reputation, credibility is everything. So it's in his best interest to go above and beyond for his contestants. And from what we've heard, that wasn't the case. A lot of people also ask me why I didn't interview other women or other contestants.
Yeah.
And that's simply because nobody else has reached out that I could actually verify was a contestant. And I mean, the contestants are under NDAs, so I understand why it's like risky for people to talk to me. But that's why I didn't interview multiple people for that last video. I have received DMs claiming that there were problems with the Canadian event as well, but nothing that's actually verifiable. Because, I mean, if there is no way for me to verify this information is accurate, I can't just blast it out there. As of now, from what I can tell, it seems like most of the contestants had an overall positive experience with the event, even though all the hiccups were there. Hence why we haven't seen way more whistleblowers
Hey,
yet. But this
nothing's perfect.
definitely doesn't take away from those who had negative experiences, though, as there are many things that could have been done to prevent all of this. But I guess that's
Hey man, nothing's perfect. It's all in good deeds. He's giving away free. He gives away a lot of money. MrBeast's been here for a long time doing good deeds, man. Hopefully he doesn't do anything wrong and he gets it better. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, he's a personality brand, so he's all about the people. All right, make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.